This is Mark Anthony with Mercury Time Price Analytics with our end-of-day video tutorial for algorithmic trading of ES, NQ bonds, and crude oil. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight is how you make money in a market that really doesn't do anything. Well, you have to start by having very precise mathematical algorithms. Pardon me. And I believe that we have the most precise algorithm anywhere in the industry, institutional or otherwise. And we show you examples of that every night. One is this regression line. This is a proprietary time price algorithm. And there's two regression lines on it, regression line A, regression line B. These can only be done with price and time. I put this on the chart last night before the Globex open. And if we can pull this back, I don't know if we can go back far enough to see it, but this regression line was put on the chart the day before the January non-farm payroll report, which was January 9th. And this literally went back and forth, over 40 times. Let me go over here to this screen. This is a longer time frame. So you go back here to January, I'm sorry, it's over here, forgive me. And I don't think, it may not go back all that way, but the point is these regression lines are magnets for price because they are based on some of the key time cycles that ES trades off of. But ES, and any other instrument we draw these on for that matter, it will be absolutely magnetized back and forth to these regression lines constantly. And this just goes back to Monday. And it'll fight over these lines, and then it'll release, and it'll fight on them and release the other way and fight over them. And it just does that over and over again. So this was put on the chart last night. Now, what is it? What magic hidden hand stopped all these bounces up to it? Well, it's part of the secret sauce of our algos, and that's why literally there. And until somebody proves me wrong, and I hate to be bold, but there is nothing that does what our systems do, even on an institutional level, because we get calls from institutions, at least a couple a month, that want us to sell this, and we will not. So back to the original question: how do you make money on a day that doesn't do much of anything? So the opening print today for the day session, and we define that as the first print at 9:30. It was 33.44. Now at 4 o'clock, what was the closing print at 4 o'clock? 33.44.50. From the time RTH opened till the time it closed at 4 o'clock, it was up exactly 2 ticks. Now, how many handles did we book? And again, people who tell you that they do things and don't show them to you in real time, this is our Slack channel. So, where are we here? And that is I'm sorry, I meant to be in the trade alerts where it's, there aren't any, we have a general channel, and then we have a channel just for the trade alerts. There's a regular one. There's the trade alert. So for our subscribers, they can go in here and see every trade that I call. And I call these in real time on our live chart. Our live chart looks similar to this, where we've got our day trading algo on one side, our swing trading on the other side. And I'm on the mic all day long. So not only am I calling the tape all day long in real time, explaining what's happening as the trade's setting up, what price to get in at, where to put your stops at, where to leg out of the trade, because we take our profits incrementally. So if price reverses, we're booking profit along the way. But all this is right there. And our subscribers can have this push to their phone. You just download the Slack app. So first trade this morning, plus 30. We had a couple trades where there was one where we lost 1 handle, one where we lost 2 handles. But what we do is we get our risk out of the trade very quickly. 2 or 3 handles, we're taking a third of the profit and moving our stop. And then after we take that first third of profit, then we look where to take a middle. So this is how you get days that don't do anything, that as of RTH close, plus 27 handles. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you know anybody else that could trade a day? And when I say anybody else, I don't mean me personally. I mean our system. Anybody other than this system that can have ES close the day where it started and still pull 27 handles out of it. 27 handles. Now, in Globex, short entry 49 with a stop at 51. Took +2 on the first third and moved our stop, so it ends up being a scratch. No profit, no loss if it reversed. Then we had this move down. Now, what was interesting about this is that you went from 33.50 down to 33.36, so 14 handles in a line, and it broke, by the way, our daily algo bull bear pivot, which we put out 90 minutes. This is something else to think about. We put out the daily algorithmic bull bear pivot 90 minutes before the market opens for ES, NQ, bonds, crude oil, Apple, Microsoft, and SPY, and Amazon. 90 minutes before the market starts. Do you think this was a pretty good bull bear pivot for the day? Now, this is where it was released, and it has nothing to do with where ES is trading. This is purely a time price algorithm, because you can't do something like this 90 minutes before the market opens if you don't have the exact time cycles nailed. And there's quite a few of them. But you can't do this without having the exact time cycles nailed. So here's your opening print. And look at how it's traded in this little tiny range between the opening print at 9:30 and our daily bull bear pivot. Now, this is what I find interesting about this market. You went from 50 to 36, a 14 handle move. You knifed completely through the bull bear pivot that was supporting price all day long. And then it stops. And like the Wizard of Oz, an unseen hand comes out and it stops going down. And not only does it stop going down, but it goes back direct. Now, I can't explain how it stops there. You probably got your own theories, and I have mine too. Either way, that doesn't make any of us any money. But the point is, it stopped. With no pivot, you can see all these pivots are down here. So I would love to know what makes it stop right there. I really, really would. But guess where it stopped on the way back? To the tick. Daily algo bull bear pivot. And these bars these aren't 5-minute bars. These are much longer than that. Comes down here, stops again to the tick. Goes down again, stops again to the tick, goes back up. And where does it stop? This cyan line is our proprietary, momentum algo. Where does it stop? There. Takes a little poke above. And there's nothing magical about the opening print. I mean, it's not a pivot. It's just a level. But you can see how price respects the regression lines. Now, let me share with you how overbought this market is. What you see on this screen, if I back this out a little bit, you see down here our Mercury bands, our short cycle and long cycle Mercury bands. And if you haven't seen any of our videos before, this is what I'm talking about. At the RTH close, and this is just last night's, this is just to give you an idea of the way these work. I have to wait until not just the RTH close at 4:15, but that extra half hour from 4:30 to 5. When we get that final closing data at 5, we run some very, very important time cycles. And you've got a short cycle and a long cycle. Now, even the short cycle is many days. The long cycle just happens to be many more days. And so if you think of the metaphor of a Bollinger Band, you got an upper band, a lower band, and a mid band. Now, these have nothing to do with Bollinger Bands. They're fixed points. But just to give you metaphorically speaking, here the difference is you have an upper band, a lower band, and 2 mid bands. So that gives you 4 short cycle levels and 4 long cycle levels. And then each night, depending upon what the data looks like, the algo will give us between 2 and 4 upper extensions and lower extensions. Now, these were the ones for last night, which covered Globex last night and RTH today. Now, this is how overbought we are, if you'll zoom in, please. The long cycle upper level, this isn't the lower level, this is the upper level, is down here at 88. So right now, we're trading Where are we? 41. 53 handles. 53 handles above the upper level. I mean, the lower level is way down here and here, this is something else that's interesting. All of these pivots are bunched, all 8 of them, between 93 and 78. There is magnetism to that zone. Does this look familiar? This is only a couple of nights ago. I mean, you could have a round trip in a heartbeat. But this is the most mathematically overbought market I have ever seen in my life. And I've been doing this well over 30 years. I know, you're thinking he sounds younger. 57. All right, so the amount of handles that we booked this week, 27 today in a market that went nowhere, 31 yesterday, and this video is being recorded on February 6th, so today's Thursday. 27 today, 31 handles yesterday, 37 on Tuesday, 32 on Monday. That's, if my math is correct, 127 handles, Monday to Thursday this week. The 2 weeks prior to that, it was right at or a little over 400 handles, but it's all on here in real time. So again, people that go on Twitter and say, I did this, blah, 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 blah. I was in this glorious long for 900 handles. They never tell you they're losing trades, do they? You know, when people annoy you on Twitter or whatever, Discord or whatever, you know, forum, and, you know, it's always the ones that talk the loudest who don't know what they're doing. Ask them to do this. Tell them, look, go create a free Slack channel. Post every trade that you make in real time. Your entry, your stop, how you managed it, where you moved your stop to, where you took your partials. Have them do that for a month, and they probably won't brag anymore. This is real accountability, to do this every single day, okay? And this is what our subscribers have access to. So the 127 handles this week, it's legit. It's all right here. 27 today, this trade that I got into, and I put this out for subscribers, at 49, took 2 on the first third, moved the stop, tightened it up, took 6 on the middle, and now I've slowly moved the stop down because in this crazy market, they could rip it right back up 20 handles for no particular reason whatsoever. So if I get stopped out of this trade at 44, that is 475 plus the 8. So it's a little under 13 handles to go with the 27 today. So if I wake up in the morning and this is stopped out, it's 40 handles. 40 handles on a day that from RTH, this one moved down to 38, you know, other than these couple spikes down, it traded within a couple handle range all day. And I frankly wasn't going to do a video tonight because not a lot happened in the market. But then I thought, you know what? This is probably the best advertisement we can give you, because this is what we can do on a day that does nothing. 27 handles during RTH plus minimum another 13 in Globex. Now, if we did that when the market wasn't moving at all, how many handles do you think we pulled out of this day on the 22nd when we called the top before the market opened? At 326. Now, it only went down to 3,300 that day, but what happened that day that was significant is it wasn't the number of handles that it went down, about 35, 36 handles from high to low. What happened was the sheer number of algorithmic pivots you had in those handles, there was about at least a dozen of them that broke. That does chart damage. Chart damage isn't done by the number. It's done by the amount of support levels that are taken out. And what happens when you get that many support levels taken out that fast in one day? The professionals sell into the next move up into that area. And 2 days later, then you get this. Here too. On the 24th, this is Wednesday, called the short at the top before the market opened. 2 days later, Friday the 24th, called the short entry at the top before the market opened. And that was at 33.31, and you only had a 100 handle move down. In 2 days. This is Friday. This is that nasty Sunday gap. This is Monday. 100 handles. Now, again, remember, we trade in thirds. So on a 100 handle move, how many handles do you think we got out of it? Quite a few. More than 100. because we have multiple contracts on when we start, and then we leg out as it goes down. So Wednesday, last week, 29th, short entry before the market opens. Why? Because we have math. We have math. And although math is math, the way we interpret math is way better than the way the institutions interpret it. It's just our algos are better than anything else out there. And again, we say this in every video. I don't care what institution you are, or if you're just, let's say you do consumer algos. You pick an independent third-party tester. As long as we can verify their independence and no relationship, we will go head-to-head against anybody, anytime, anywhere. Day trading, swing trading, globe extra, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. We'll put our systems up against anybody's. And we charge less than the 90% of the systems out there that are absolute garbage that don't work. And we give you a lifetime rate guarantee. And we don't need to overcharge people because our customers stay with us. But we show this stuff to you every night. Our system's called the top on the 22nd, on the 24th, on the 29th, on the 31st. So that was over 400 handles on those days in 2 weeks. And then this week, Monday 32 handles, Tuesday 37, Wednesday 31, 27 today, plus a 13 that we've already locked into if our stop gets run. So that's 40 for today for a market that went nowhere. Just some of the things that we do on the live chart. Notice you've got the continuous contract here and you got the March contract here. That's because we run on the right side of the screen here our day trading algo, and on the left side we run our swing trading algo. And also by having two of them, it allows us to run different sets of pivots. These pivots, the continuous contract, are long cycle pivots, and then these pivots over here, these are our proprietary. Forgive me, I've had this cough a couple days, I'm sorry. There's nothing worse than when we've got 4 kids, 3 girls. Heaven help me. And you know how it works when you get your first little cough and cold in like 2 years, and you search all around the house for a bag of Halls. You know the ones I mean, they're menthol, they've got a half-life of like 487 years. And you find that bag of Halls, and you're so happy. And it looks like it's pretty full, right? Until you reach in and find out there's like 2 left because your daughter ate them all and put the wrappers back in. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so wrapping up here because I know the coughing is getting annoying. But these pivots here, these Mercury dynamic pivots, there is nothing in the industry. Nobody can take us on this because nobody else has this. We run an algo in the morning, and we run it at a precise minute, because there are certain times where all these algo time cycles line up, okay? And when the algo, and this is yesterday, the algo spits out not just the pivot levels themselves, but it gives them a descriptive name, which identifies the type of behavior to expect when price interacts with that level. Now think about that. The algo is giving you a number, and it's describing the type of behavior. So these orange pivots, they're color-coded the same because these are trend confirmation pivots. So in a strong uptrend, price will come down to them and reflexively bounce off. Same thing with the reflex pivot, but it's not mathematically similar to these 3. Now, what happens when you start breaking trend confirmation pivots? Well, then you get fast moves, and our algo identifies the price acceleration pivots that price blows through when these break. And then we have trend warning pivots. So when the market starts to really move in a certain direction, these identify points where you really start doing chart damage. And then we have some longer term indicators. We have a multi-day trend, 2 multi-day trend indicators, a short cycle and a long cycle. And then we have the swing trend pivot that turns the whole structure upside down. And then we have some extended pivots. Now, if you watch some of our videos, if you remember days where there were really, really big moves, like Friday of, was it last week? Yeah, it was this one here where we started the day at 94. And we had shorted this in Globex the night before. It took us 3 times. One of the hallmarks of a professional trader is you take every setup, and it doesn't matter if you have to take that setup 3 times. And you can take a setup 3 times because if you do this like a professional, it's either the times you're wrong, it's either a scratch or it's a couple handles. So the first trade was like around 32.96-ish. That ended up being scratch. Second trade, we booked a couple handles, adjusted our stop. It reversed back up again. We made 1 handle. So the first trade's a scratch, no gain, no loss. Second trade is 1 handle. In the third trade, and here's the point before I share this with you, most traders wouldn't have taken that second one. Either they would have been gun shy or they couldn't have taken it because they had a stop way too wide and gave up a bunch of handles and you're gun shy. So first trade's a scratch. Second trade, we give up 1 handle. And then we take that third trade. Now, most traders wouldn't take the second trade. Very, very, very few would take the third trade. But look, you don't throw positions back on just because, what the heck, we'll give it another shot. There has to be a setup, and there was. And that setup was at 32.94, and that's the one that went. Now, went all the way down here to 32.13. Guess where our lower extension was that was put out to our subscribers before RTH opened that day? 32.13. 32.13. So our algo identified the top Thursday night, the night before, and then identified the extension. And there's more than one. There's 3 extension pivots. But you're talking about having an extension pivot that's 80 handles away that stopped within 2 ticks. And believe it or not, just to show our subscribers how accurate this system is, we got long. We got long a couple handles above that. It was about 92.15. And we had to stop at 12. So if that didn't hold at 13, we're only risking a little bit. But we pulled 12 more handles out of that in the last half hour. Now, before we go, because this is about bonds and crude also, we've got 2 algos. We've got an algo for ES and NQ. That's one service. And we've got a separate service for bonds and NQ. Now, our ES service, and there is nothing else that does this. And we know there's nothing else that does this because we spent many months last year having it independently tested by a CTA firm where their tester has over 30 years experience. Never tested anything in his life anywhere close to it. Tested at 6-month intervals going back 30 years. 60 time frames. There is nothing that performed like this. Now, as good as the ES system is, the bonds is an absolute freak. This is the Babe Ruth New York Yankees. And this will only let me go back so far, but long 57.12. Flipped short, got long a little bit lower. Got long from here to here, flipped short, got long a little bit lower. Long all the way up into here, and you're talking about the original long was down here at 57.12. Then here 58.12 up to 59.26, short, gets long below. And by the way, one of our things our system does is if it flips from long to short and vice versa, it'll flip at better prices than when you get in. So you can see if it's short and it flips long, it's going to go long at a lower price than it got you in short, and vice versa. But I had a subscriber who'd been with us, just started a couple of weeks ago, and I think I told this story last night. Forgive me if I'm repeating it. But he called me up, and in his first week, he had made enough money just on the crude oil part of the bonds crude oil package to pay for a subscription for well over 2 years. Made enough on bonds the first week to pay for a subscription another 2+ years. So literally, he paid for 5 years of his subscription. 5 years in a week. Now, our subscription is $68 a week. We bill bi-weekly. So